Minister defamed Assange in suggesting he was guilty of and charged with a crime. Not only has the Attorney-General threatened to take away the passport of an Australian citizen guilty of no crime, we now learn that they have secretly discussed a charge of treason against Assange. I know that the Attorney-General has been personally made fully aware that the circumstances of Assange's problems in Sweden stink. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark, said Marcellus in Hamlet. I would substitute Sweden for Denmark. The other day, the Sydney Morning Herald declared that Assange should give up his appeal and be extradited from Britain. The paper calls Sweden a neutral country. Sweden has not been a neutral country for 30 years. 2 weeks ago, a parliamentary briefing in Canberra heard expert evidence that under international standards, the behaviour of leading figures in the Assange case in Sweden would be considered, and I quote, highly improper and reprehensible and preclude a fair trial. The Swedish Prime Minister is a warmongering mate of George W. Bush and has hired Bush's crony, Karl Rove, to advise him on the problem of Julian Assange. The law partner of one of the leading figures pursuing Assange was the Minister of Justice, who in 2001 secretly handed over 2 innocent asylum seekers to a CIA kidnap squad at Stockholm Airport. Sweden later awarded them damages for their torture in Egypt. The implications for Julian Assange in Sweden are dire. Not a word of this critical hearing in Canberra was reported or broadcast in the mainstream media in Australia. Instead, we've been saturated with the spectacle of Julia Gillard in Washington. Yet again, an Australian Prime Minister has made us a laughingstock. In her so-called historic address to Congress, a Congress half filled with interns and minor officials, Gillard surpassed Robert Menzies' notorious declaration of love for the Queen. It actually reminded me of a grovelling Stalinist party boss in Eastern Europe summoned to Moscow during the Cold War, that her foreign minister was at the same time ranging the Middle East, trying to start an air war over Libya,